Good morning, Bulldogs, and welcome to the Butler Beat. I'm Maddie Koss. Sports media is one of the newest degrees being offered at Butler University. In fact, this spring will be the first time a Butler student will graduate with a sports media degree. Joining me today is junior sports media major Brendan King to talk about all the hands-on opportunities he has experienced in his major. Thank you for being here, Brendan.
Thanks for having me, Maddie.
Now, how did you get involved in student broadcasting here at Butler?
Well, I started my freshman year. I was involved with broadcasting in high school. I did play-by-play for my high school's football and basketball team for all 4 years, and it was definitely something I wanted to carry on into college. And now being a junior, I realized it's really what I want to do. The passion is play-by-play. But in terms of getting involved, I remember the first time I heard about the chance to do play-by-play at Butler. I was at the Wisconsin Dells with my family. I got a text or an email from Scott Bridge and said I should expect an email soon from Eric Esterline, who was the old sports media director before he moved on to the University of Florida, to gauge interest of who wanted to get involved with broadcasting. And it was something new at that point because it was just something they were able to get going. The broadcasts are on butlersports.com, and I started my freshman year. My first broadcast was a month into my freshman year, and I still remember it to this day. I'll never forget it. It was the Butler-Indiana men's soccer game, and of course Butler won that one in overtime in dramatic fashion. Goldsmith scores 2 goals, one with 3 minutes left, and then one in overtime to win the game. And it's myself and Seth Wells, who's another junior sports media major, and we're calling this game, which we're freshmen, and this is actually a game that it's gonna matters, and people are gonna remember it forever. So it's just something I'll never forget.
And you talked about broadcasting at soccer games. What other sports do you broadcast at?
We're able to do a wide array of sports. My freshman year and sophomore year, we did a lot of women's basketball. But now that the Big East Digital Network has kicked off more for Fox Sports, and of course Fox Sports has become a lot more involved with the Big East, women's basketball is something that Fox Sports has been doing. So I did that my freshman and sophomore year. But in terms of what students can still do, soccer games are fair game. Football games are probably the biggest one that we do because Mark Minner still does the play-by-play for it, and students get a chance to work with him for football games, which is a great experience just because Mark's a great guy, great broadcaster, and it gives students a great experience to work with him just because he's a big shot now. He's the Butler men's basketball radio guy. He knows what he's doing, and a different student works with him every week, so it gives students a chance. So usually you'll do maybe 1 or 2 football games a year, but that football game is probably your best experience of the year. In terms of other sports, volleyball is one that you can do, and hopefully we're going to start doing baseball soon.
Why and how are you going to get that to happen at baseball games?
Well, baseball is something that we haven't been able to do in the past. From my understanding and from what I talked with Eric Esterline about a couple of years ago was we've been unable to do baseball for 2 reasons. One, it was tough to get a good internet connection out there to stream the game, just because it's a little further off campus. It's towards the I lot, which is of course not near the main campus where we are at Fairbanks. So, and then 2, it was tough to get a good camera angle out there, just because broadcasting baseball is different. It's not like football or basketball where you have the one camera up top and then maybe a couple on the sidelines, and you just switch between that. And usually the main shot for basketball is the top one where you're going back and forth. For baseball, I mean, you got to have a camera with the usual batter and pitcher. You got to have a camera up top. You got to have a couple cameras on the baseline, and you got to be really quick in choosing which cameras to change as the ball can be put into play in seconds. So, which is why we're probably going to be doing baseball on Indy Blue Radio, which is the new student radio station on campus, and it's just coming around. And that way, we can just have broadcasters and not have to worry about getting students to fill in for cameras and then potentially having to train those students for baseball, which could be a completely different process. So hopefully within the next couple of months, we could get started on Indy Blue Radio for baseball and softball, and it'd be a great experience just because we've never been able to do it. At this point, as a junior, it's the one sport that I really want to do that I have not been able to do here at Butler, and it would just be a great experience.
Now, you've been doing this for a couple years. Do you ever get nervous broadcasting? I mean, it's live. You can't go back.
I mean, that first broadcast, Butler, Indiana, I had the butterflies before, for sure. But now, as a junior, it's something that I really love to do, and it's something that, especially Butler broadcasts, I don't get as nervous anymore because I'm working with a fellow student that I've probably known for a while. The students broadcasting, we don't have many freshmen this year doing it, so the students broadcasting are like guys my age or a guy older than me, Mark Pearson, the guy who's about to graduate with sports media, as you mentioned earlier, or a couple of guys younger than me. So I don't get as nervous anymore, but those first couple, especially the first women's basketball game, the first game I did in Hinkle was, it was just beyond myself because Hinkle's such a great environment, and just sitting courtside at Hinkle broadcasting was a really surreal moment.
Now, say a viewer wants to get into student broadcasting. How can they go about that?
Well, it's definitely changed over the past year since Eric's departure. But if you want to get involved, I mean, it's a great experience, and you really don't have to be a sports media major either. I mean, I know a couple of guys who are history majors and they're doing it. So get in contact with anybody in CCOM, especially Scott Bridge and Christine Taylor. They're kind of the ones heading it up now. Also, a good person to get in contact with is Joe Gentry. He's over at Hinkle, and he's the guy that actually is in charge of getting you paid and getting you getting your name in the system. So CCOM and Joe will work together to get you out there, and whether it's at the Bull or at Hinkle, if you just gauge your interest that you want to get involved, I and Joe and all the professors fully support it. It's something it's something that would be something to get involved in college. I mean, Scott Bridge says it all the time in his classes. College is the time to do stuff that you've never done before that you want to experience. And I fully believe that, if you want to give it a shot, that's the perfect time.
Do you suggest people to participate in this?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you love sports and you love watching sports, fully. I mean, I'm a diehard sports fan, and I mean that's easy to say if you're a sports broadcaster. It's obviously more than that, but even if you just have a passion for sports, I mean, go give it a shot. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So.
What makes sports broadcasting here at Butler so worthwhile for you?
It's just that I have a dream of being the play-by-play announcer for the Cubs when I'm older. That's the number one dream, and to be able to hone my skills here and kind of just get out the butterflies now and be able to get that experience going into graduating in 3 semesters. It's pretty crazy.
Well, thank you, Brendan, for being here today to talk about sports media at Butler. I'm Maddie Koss, and you've been watching the Butler Beat.